Welcome back, everyone, to Bigfoot Forensics. We are moving into our third episode with Jason B. Miller, and we've been progressing quite nicely, and we're going to go ahead and continue that. And I think you're really going to enjoy today because he's going to be sharing some stuff that I think everyone really needs to keep in mind. Jason, go ahead and take it away.
Right on. All right. Well, thank you for your time, first of all.
Of course.
All right. I'd like to start out with this next portion that, in my mind and in my opinion, really, really helped me tremendously. And I can't thank people enough for what I'm about to explain. So the next step in my progression was, as I mentioned earlier, I started a little local Facebook page just for my area. And I clearly stated in the description that this is a safe place to talk, to share, or to contact me privately if you just want to have a discussion or share your encounter without negative comments or feeling uncomfortable. And lo and behold, I just got overwhelmed with private messages, just slammed. And I make a point to respond to each and every person. I don't care who they are. I don't care where you live. I'll get back to you. And the information that I started to gather from these people, it all started to paint a picture, a clear pattern. One family in particular, I want to share this event. So I got an invite to a family dinner from a person who I have never met, don't know, and have really no clue what I'm about to walk into, other than I accepted the invite. So before I left, I told my wife, I says, here's the address I'm going to be at. If I don't return, if I'm not back by a certain time, don't worry. Give me a couple extra hours and then start to worry.
I've done that before. Yeah. So continue. I'd like to know what they made for dinner too. I'm just curious.
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah. Great. So it took me a while to accept their invite. I was, really not nervous, but hesitant on why they would reach out and offer such a wonderful gesture.
What was it that they said that made you consider this?
It was just the fact that they invited me to come up to their property for dinner. And they wanted to share some of their experiences, their encounters.
Oh, okay.
So when I say the importance of this particular portion of my beginnings, my advances, people, I cannot thank people enough that have guided me, helped me, given me clues, talked to me, shared their encounters and other ancillary things that have happened. But this one event truly changed my perspective for the greatest, I want to say, heart-loving moment that I had in a very long time. So I get to their property and they're way out of cell range. So that's why I kind of was joking with my wife saying, hey, if I'm not back by a certain time, don't worry. But here's the line to cross, then worry. Once I arrived, I was welcomed like a long lost relative. I felt so comfortable around this family.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody introduces themselves. We sit down in the living room. They're cooking chicken. They're cooking all the side dishes. We're talking like a Thanksgiving meal almost, to that extent. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this is just the sweetest thing I could. I thought the polar opposite. I thought I was going to go up there, and there was going to be hot dogs, potato chips, and beer, and everybody was going to be drunk and liquored up and start yapping. No. What occurred was they told me the family history from the very beginnings of owning or obtaining the property.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget the years, but we're talking, I want to say back in the 1800s, all the way up to present day. This one family has lived on this land for as long as I can remember them telling me, which I can't. But each and every family member shared an encounter, an experience on this giant parcel of land over the years. And I'm just in awe. I didn't have much to say, because they were telling me such things as the behavior that this family of Sasquatch would show. For instance, if they were standing, some family members were standing in a particular area, they knew that there was this family of Sasquatch up higher up that wouldn't come down unless they repositioned themselves. So kind of like a pattern type
Mm-hmm.
behavior. And the family had planted like strawberries for them to come down and pick, gifting to this. They lived symbiotically with this family of Sasquatches over the years. And I'm sitting here just absorbing all this information from the youngest, and each generation was telling me all about what they've seen, heard, etc. And I am just blown away by the openness of this family. Later on that evening, as we're all sitting around talking, here comes the great grandpa out of the back room. And he comes in, and this is my opinion. This is what I observed. It appeared that it was very hard for him to come out physically,
Mm-hmm.
to engage because of his age. But he came out and sat down and started telling me what he recalled, what he remembers. And it was blissful, if that makes sense, to have this family tell me about their history in this area for generations, living amongst another family of Sasquatch.
Sounds like there's enough information there for, maybe that information needs to somehow be memorialized.
I would.
You
I'm
know, I mean, they just told you a whole history. Um, I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear everything that you heard.
I am great friends with them still, and I'm invited to come out all the time to come out to their property. Uh, but yes, I agree. I would love for them to possibly allow me to come back out and maybe do a in-depth, more I want to say,
What do you think that they're open to? Just telling the stories and letting you? I mean, are they uh, like allowing you to come there to like do your type of investigation, or
every,
is it? Yeah.
yep, anything I want to do
Hmm.
except for harm. That's, of course, that's that's my that's the line I don't cross. Uh,
So, are you going to get into that with us now, or later, or today, or next episode? Like some of the things you've encountered, or what you found there. Or,
well,
I don't know where you're going with this, but
I understand.
you got me intrigued, and now I want to know more. Obviously.
Well, I'm trying to show a pattern of people, strangers who I don't know, contacting me and offering, come out to my property, come out to my place. I want to show you things. I want to, and now this is in the beginning.
Uh huh.
This is when I was like, I just want to say a puppy. Um, so there was a lot of instant belief, of course, and this one family, 100% not full of it. And as you mentioned, I'm trying to paint a picture here of the importance of people,
Hmm.
honest people, contacting me or somebody that they feel comfortable with to either verbally share information or come out to their place and have free roam, take a look, do what you want to do, follow the rules, of course. And that still continues to this day. I'm still learning things from individuals that I really never thought of. And I can give a few examples. Uh, the first family, after we got done eating dinner, I was shown around the property. They showed me everything. We walked around, uh, and then when I was about ready to go home, they said, "Well, why don't you take a walk back in, follow this one logging road in, go as far as you want to go, and it'll make a big loop around and come on back." And which I was like, and I love the night. I love the nighttime. So I'm out there walking this piece of property, pitch black, just a little bit of moonlight. Nothing occurred. I want to make that clear, but nothing occurred. But I get back to the property and I sat there with them, I think another 4 hours talking, just listening to what goes on where they live, all the different patterns year round. And at this point in time, I was taking no notes. This was all just sitting back, talking. I was just blown away.
I was going to ask you if you were like copiously like scribbling down as many notes as you could.
Not at this time. This
Not at
was
this time. Yeah. All right. All right.
lesson
All
learned.
good. All good.
Lesson learned. So that is a tool that I would like people to think about. If somebody offers you to come out, they've got trust in you. in my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion. But I learned a lot about what goes on their property, as I mentioned, throughout the year. So when certain things are ripe, they would see the little ones come down, like sneak down. The biggest one was strawberries. That's what they were always planting for this family. And I believe them 100%. There's no doubt in my mind that any of them was fabricating or exaggerating anything, especially the great grandpa. When he come out and he told me some of the information that just back in the day was not the norm. He says, we just have to live amongst them. They were here before us. We're on their property, but they have had a symbiotic relationship for decades on this parcel of land. So that was the next step in my quote unquote education, was listening to people tell me their information, things that they've done that wasn't a no-no, things that they've done that led to a habitual issue, such as offering something, and once it discontinued, it upset the Sasquatch coming in. One particular one was a lady was constantly leaving eggs out. She had a whole bunch of chickens. This is a separate person. And she was setting out eggs every night in this one spot. And she said that this Sasquatch was coming down to collect the eggs every night. And she invited me to come out to her property. I set up a bunch of game cameras. Not one single egg was taken when the cameras were up. Zero. And as soon as I took the cameras down, the eggs started to be taken again. So, there's a clear pattern that I interrupted behavior that this woman had built with this Sasquatch. Now, could it have been a bear coming in, taking the eggs? Could it have been a coyote or coyote? I don't think so, because instantly this stopped once the cameras were put up. Cameras taken down and it picks back up again. So that's where I believe her report, her encounters.
How many times did this happen? Was it just like one time of like putting the cameras up and we noticed this, or did you put cameras up, take them down, put cameras up, take them down to like establish a pattern, or was it just that one time?
One time.
One time.
Because after the second time, I went back out there to do an attempt to reproduce this experiment. Let's just say that there was a new man in her life that didn't want me on the property. Let's leave it at that. So I didn't have a chance to reproduce that experiment, which really bugging me to do.
Right.
But I can say without a shadow of a doubt, it just seems so apparent that the minute those cameras were up, it stopped.
But you go on later to discover that starts to happen on a regular basis for you, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah. Definitely.
And that's when we're going to talk about that later, but that's when you start using the cameras for a different purpose altogether, yes. Right? Yeah, yes. I can't wait to get into that, but continue.
Okay. So those are just the little types of friendly encounters that I start to take notes on and reminisce about patterns, start noticing things. But I just want to make it so clear to people that there are so many honest, good Samaritans out there who want to share their experiences, but ridicule, call names, could destroy a family, etc. And I've been so thankful that I've been kind of used as a tool, as almost like therapy in a way. But what I get out of it is information. I get out of it data. I get out of it a lot of benefits that most people aren't or haven't had that opportunity to, because I don't think they take it as seriously as I do, if that makes sense. I really am thankful for people, families, and that just really took off as far as educating me, listening to them, listening to what they have to say. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who it goes in one ear and out the other, and a lot of that could be, is wasted info. Can't hear you.
Hi, I muted my mic because my dog was barking a little
Gotcha.
while ago. Fireworks. Gotcha. So my question was, so after doing this, how are you determining, or I mean, I'm guessing my methods would be different, but how are you determining who's being truthful with you?
Thank you for excellent question. So here is my MO, and I stick to it religiously. In the beginning, it was just listening to them one time. Now, 3. I must hear your encounter or your recollection 3 times, and not back to back to back. I want to hear this over weeks, maybe a month or so. And I always tell people I want to hear this multiple times so I can pick out inconsistencies. And that is a standard that I stick to now, 100%.
How's it been working for you? Have you found anybody that you have eliminated?
Oh, I got a good one for you. Many. And here's one that a lot of people might not pick up on. I was contacted by I'm going to leave all these names out, of course, but I was contacted by a lady, and she gave me this elaborate story. This just something that was so incredulous. Now, should I believe her right off the bat? Of course not. But each time she told the story, it got a little bit more and more squirrely, kind of more elaborate. But she slipped up. And what she said to me, and I called her out on it, is she goes, one night I was out on my deck and I saw this, and I only use the word Sasquatch. I saw this Sasquatch standing on this ridge right behind my house, and it was backlit by the city of Spokane's light pollution. Now, the city of Spokane from where I live is over 70 miles away, and we're talking where she's at is deep down in this valley. So the light pollution from such a great distance to backlit and create this silhouette. I mean, no.
It wasn't as simple as something like there's another light source that she just misidentified as Spokane.
She's adamant it was Spokane light pollution. She stuck to her story.
All right.
And I told her, well, I don't believe your story, because, and I broke it down where you live and how the light would have to come up, bend down, and then, of course, I get
How does she react?
oh, I got the friendly
F
naughty word.
you? Okay.
It's fine with me. Hey, but
Right.
I was on the fence with her for the
Mhm.
first two portions, but the tail of the light pollution where I live, it's impossible. Now we do have another little tiny town close, about halfway in between, but again, we're talking the light would have to reflect down into this valley where she lived. I mean, I asked her, was it moonlight? All those questions, what it could have been. No. So I really picked those things apart. And majority of the time, men and women are, when they retell their encounter, I would put it at a great percentage, 80-85% plus accurate each and every time. First time they're excited to tell, they're just they just want to get it out. Second time I ask them to slow down, break it down a little slower, and then the third time about the same. And right about the 80-85%, maybe 90, all these stories and encounters just line up great. But I have no problem when the detector goes off and it's no, and then I ask, follow-up questions like, could it be, what about this? And I'm very thorough when it comes to that. And I do want to say one other positive thing about it is I get people also who contact me, and they have problems absorbing what they've seen or encountered. And it almost seems like, as if I mentioned earlier, it's almost like therapy when they're able to get stuff off their chest and talk to somebody who's actually listening and cares. And although they're getting something, or they're getting a benefit out of it, so am I.
Right.
I'm intel. And I always tell everybody, anything that's talked or discussed is private, never shared unless I get authorization from you to retell this encounter or whatever I might want to use for it. Out of respect, you can't go and just start blabbing your mouth about what somebody told you, because you just ruined your trust with somebody. And then, they'll tell somebody else, and that's not how I roll. Talk to me. Let me hear it. Let me hear it. But I'll pick it apart. I'll do my best to.
It's all in how you do it. I mean, you can pick things apart without being mean,
Yeah. And my favorite spot is like to go to just a place where, you can sit down with somebody with a beer or a comfort zone, and just sit back and relax and let it flow. And that's why I say family and people are another tool to add to your kit, because what you will get out of honesty is just immense. I mean, I couldn't even put a number or calculate the percentage that it has helped me, other than tremendously. Weekly, I get people contacting me, and this is no exaggeration, just to say, I watched something you did with David, or I watched something you told, and you just made me feel more at ease with what I, have encountered, etc. So even what we're doing here has helped people that have messaged me to tell me, thank you. It's just a wonderful feeling.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, so you have a lot of people calling to talk to you now, and still to this day. So what's changed now from the time when it first started to now? Are you doing anything any different with these people or with this information? Um, you said you weren't taking notes at that first family. Are you doing anything now, like spreadsheet wise, databases, but trying, writing anything, like, I don't know how you're collecting this data and what you're doing with it. What are you doing with it, I guess, is the question.
Okay. Well, what I do with it is everything is categorized in what I would call, well, you got your class A, class B, class C encounters, etc. As far as what people like, I think it's called the BFRO, how they have it classified, etc. I just have mine as far as areas, counties, and I like game units, if that makes sense. In hunting pamphlets, there's game units, and I kind of use that as a platform that in the Huckleberry range, there are, excuse me, let me get this right. In the Huckleberry range, there are X amount of visual encounters. In the Blueberry range, there's X amount of audible encounters or
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sounds. So I don't have a really code words for them. I just break them down into visual, audio, possible, and not necessarily numbered as far as believability, but I have a map that I sent you.
Right.
And on that map is the tool that is used to keep track of these I'm sorry.
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Thank you.
Here's your map.
Excellent. So myself and a fellow researcher, Carrie, each one of these pins is an encounter of some sort. And it's a particular website we have.
Like an actual encounter, not tracks, not audio. These are encounters.
These are visuals. Some are tracks. Some are sounds that people have heard, but we've interviewed these people, whether over the telephone or in person. And each pin, when you click on it, it's a detailed paragraph of what transpired. Date, time. We will, if the person wants their name left there, we will leave the name. It might just say Border Patrol Agent X. Visually saw, blah, blah, etc. And now this is a smaller picture of the actual map, but when you enlarge it, all those clusters of pins in there just expand. And that's how we keep track of a majority of what I and or Carrie interviews.
So what program or what map are you using?
This is just Google Maps.
Oh, Google Maps. You created your own thing in Google Maps. Gotcha.
Correct.
Gotcha.
And at this point in time, we have it private, only because we don't want to give away certain locations that are highlighted and mentioned on this map. Number one, I want to keep certain people away from certain areas. I don't trust certain people to go out and do anything nefarious, trespass, or
damaging people's property.
Correct. Correct. Now, we made a few errors on the map that we were having a little trouble fixing. Like there's a couple pins of a Sasquatch, and we're changing, we're tweaking it. But this clearly shows this is my area where the blue pin is, and then you have a horizontal line, which is the Canadian border, and you can see a cluster where everything kind of condenses, and that is around this little town called Northport, Washington. And what we believe is, now again, this is all gathering information from people we've interviewed and talked to. So what we believe is that this is possibly a travel corridor going up into Canada during the winter and then coming back down in spring, because the Columbia River comes in this city or town in British Columbia called Trail, BC. So it just seems to, I mean, this is only our opinion. It just seems to look like they all travel up into this choke point, have to cross the Columbia River at some point, and then get up into Canada. And we've had reports on this map of, I'm not going to even attempt to recall, but there are many reports on this map of seeing this same one in certain areas at the same time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for instance, the furthest pin down at the bottom I'm going to make this up, might be a jet black one, and with a white stripe on its head. And then in fall, somebody might see it, the same one, up into Canada. The same looking one. Can we say it's the same one? No, but it just seems to be, in my mind, a clear pattern of migration of some sort. And this is the tool that I and her utilize as far as when I mention people as a resource. All of these are
right. I think the only variable that or one of the issues you may have is when we talk about clusters or things like that happen, you have to have people to have those sightings to get that data. Mm-hmm. So when you move outside of those areas where there's no people, my next question is, the population density could be much higher there, right? And it's not really a cluster that you're seeing. What if, what I mean? You have to have people to actually have sightings to have the data. So if you don't have people off in these other areas, it may just appear to be clustered because
Correct.
That's where the people are.
Mm-hmm.
I know we had some, people in law enforcement who didn't understand that, mainly our city. And the point was made, when we were having to spend some time at a particular hotel, they were like, well, look at all this crime that's happening at the hotel. The stats are so crazy. And luckily, our major actually knows the difference and says, well, if we took all the people out of the hotel area and put them in one subdivision, and we started saying, and we said, make all the arrests you want and go crazy, then it would look like the crime stats increased inside the subdivision, but it's just where we happen to be looking, where we happen to be going. And that was really only my point. When we talk about clusters on maps, you have to have people to get the cluster. So it almost just feels like sometimes it's just you're going to have the cluster where the most people are,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to go with the, there's more here than, like, say over to the right where it's that national forest.
Mhm.
I can't see. Um, I don't know. That was just my thought that popped into my head, and
No, I agree.
that's it.
I agree. If I was to send you an expanded view of these pins, then the clusters would not appear so condensed.
Hmm.
But I understand what you're saying. You got a hotel, you got a whole bunch of scummies, in this area, and it does make it look more uh, visible. But I agree. Um, but in this area, you've got one town called Northport, and then the rest is just farmland and people living out there off the grid, etc. But your point is valid. I agree. But that's how we keep track of uh, interviews as well as documentation. And what I'll write down is when I was explaining
Hmm.
the like game unit, I'll write down Northport area or whatever area that I just label it as. And then I have a binder for each one, and just take down as many notes as possible. But
Fantastic.
3 times, I must have you tell me your encounter 3 times, regardless of who you are. And after the third time, and you're pretty consistent, that one will get logged in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like what you're doing. Uh, I like the 3 times thing. I think that's a smart thing to do. Uh, you just got to steer clear of your habitual liars, right? The ones who are always having sightings, so they're used to telling that same story over and over and over again, right?
Yes.
But when you're meeting someone on the farm for the first time, right, that's a little bit different. So yeah, I absolutely give you that. That's a good idea. Um, yeah.
I,
So
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so where we go from here, now that you have this going, um, do you have an end goal or just still in the data collection stages? Do you have a hot zone that now that you have the map and you found your more densely populated, sighting areas, is that where you're now starting to hone some of your investigations in? Um,
No, no,
no,
no, I have, with all due respect, I have my private spots that I go to that that are mine.
got it.
Not mine, but
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
those are my spots that I that
Right.
I that I work consistently in, and there's 3 of them. I can pretty much I can pretty much tell within a matter of weeks if I'm wasting my time in one area. I'll move on to another one.
Well, that's key right there. I mean, you just said that within a matter of weeks.
Mhm.
All right. So the normal investigator's not spending that amount of time out there, like what you just said. Like I would be lucky to spend, you know, get time off of, for 1 week to go spend. But you're saying I go out here for a matter of weeks, I know, and then I move on to a different spot. You get to continue. That's a different level of, I guess, investigation into this than most people get. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, you can't just go into one spot and look around for a day and say, no, this ain't it.
Hmm.
Uh, at least a week or two in one area, hitting the water sources, uh, checking my game camera traps,
Right.
and looking for sign, just taking my time. But I want to give one little bit of advice, and I do not deviate from this. I wear the same clothes all the time. The shirt might be different, but I'm always wearing pretty much the same pair of boots, backpack, jeans. My look is consistent. Now, I do that because I truly believe that they can recognize me not only by the sound of my vehicle that, coming up the mountain, but my scent.
Well, if a dog can.
Exactly. So I try to keep things very consistent, and in one area, if I'm finding nothing worth staying, I pick up and I move to my second area. If that starts to pan out, then I'll stay there as long as I feel no more time needs to be done here, and I'll move on to another one, or go back to the first one and take a peek. But
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I truly believe that appearance means a lot to them. Your aura, your vibe, and just your mannerisms. It just seems to, for me, myself, and it might sound crazy, but I stick to the same clothes. It could be 95 degrees out. I'm wearing long sleeve shirts. Number one, I keeping the ticks off me, keeping other debris and stuff off. But I just try to keep everything as consistent as possible. And if I feel I need to move on, I go with my gut and I move over to where my gut tells me to go to the next place.
So you've been doing this for a long time. When you talk about going out there for a week or two and nothing happening and then moving on to the next spot, have you, over the years of doing this, have you started to notice a pattern for what areas may or may not have something, so it's not even worth going there yet? Or are you still developing that pattern?
That's a great question. First off, I'm always looking for sign for very particular, in the other episode, tree breaks or twists. I pretty much go with my gut, just my spidey senses, if that makes sense. I almost feel like if I'm in an area, I feel I feel like I'm being watched, if that makes sense.
It does.
And if I kind of get that feeling over a couple of days, I'm staying, without a doubt. There might be no sign. There might not be anything that happens, but I just kind of go with my gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And once that kind of wears off, then I'll move if nothing happens, if I don't find anything. Or if I'm in an area where I really feel it's strong and I'm left certain things that tell me to leave, that's when I'll leave. So what I mean by that is many people have shown these types of photographs where logs or branches are put over their trail, dropped over.
You want me to put it up?
Please. Right there. Stay out. Now that was after I had been back in there. I'm not going to even attempt to fabricate or make up a mileage, but way back up in there. So I'm coming out, and that is placed across the trail. Nobody else had been up in there. And I looked and I looked and I looked for any possible signs that this was natural, that this was some, deadfall. Those are fresh, broken off trees. Not like I showed before where the tips had came down and were stuck in the ground.
Right.
But when I was coming out, I needed to get back home for real quick. That was in my way. Well, get out. Don't come back. Okay. So I didn't come back in that spot for the whole summer. I left that area. Now, that's just one particular spot. And there was another one. Now, this is another old logging road that I'm walking in. I was back up in there for 2 days, coming back out to get to my truck to resupply, and that was broke across the trail. Or I call it a trail. Old logging road.
Those are pretty thick.
Well, there's another angle that I took showing it from another view. There you go. So again, I'm only stating this is what I observe when I'm out there. When I see something like that, that tells me to get out, or stay away, get out, leave us alone. And I do. I'm gone. I do not come back because I'm in their backyard.
Right. Yeah, that's those are thick.
Well, they are. Again,
and you're up there, so you're not there for. You would know if any high winds or storms or anything came through. So just to be walking back, and because that branch, where was it? Yeah, right here.
Yep.
That one right there. You see that split going all the way up.
Correct.
And that was not a wind. I mean, I'm not going to say that. That is not a diseased tree, right? That just broke and fell over.
Yep.
That's not what that is.
That's why I am showing this, because not every single tree fell, whatever word, or everything that's crossed or whatever means something. I really go over this type of thing before I even take I'll take photographs, but before I will put that out as this possibly is telling me to stay out, get out. Yeah, I know for sure that it wasn't wind. It wasn't dead. It was a live tree. And that happens all the time. No, let me rephrase. That happens quite often in certain places. Not all the time.
I get it.
So
got to be careful.
Yeah. So when I'm in there, and one thing that I habitually do is when I park my truck, I put up a game camera watching my truck. Not only for thieves, but I want to see if somebody might have parked, walked in, and playing tricks on me or whatever.
That's a brilliant idea.
I 100% all the time monitor
never even thought about putting something up just to see if someone came in after me.
Absolutely. Because if something's left on the trail, let's say a cigarette butt or a candy wrapper, and you're walking out and you see that, oh, they left me a gift or something. That's what a lot of people might think initially. Well, then you get back to your rig, pop in the SD card, start looking. Oh, there was two dudes here, with, maybe looking for firewood. They walked in. And so I can eliminate what might have been left on the trail as trash from them.
That's a fantastic idea.
Always, 100% of the time. Then I've been tricked before. I've been tricked. And one particular area, I really thought that they were telling me to get out, harassing me at my camp spot. Now, before you show the picture, I want to tell you how I set up my camp spot.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw it up until you say so.
Okay. Well, wherever I'm camped, whether I'm with myself or I bring a person with me, I'm consistent in this technique. So if I'm sleeping in a cot during the summer, little nylon cot I can throw in my backpack, or if it's cool out and I want to bring in a backpack or a little Walmart dome tent, regardless, I always do this. I will take fishing line and I will put a complete perimeter around my camp spot. 50 yards in all direction, perfect circle. And I will have a couple beer cans with pebbles in them tied to that fishing line about 4 to 5 feet off the ground.
So I do the same thing, but I use the catfish bells that you put on the end of your fishing rod.
Yes, exactly. So I have an audible alarm if something big enough comes in and shakes that line somehow. So I'm in my little, just call it a spike camp. And I'm sitting there, and every single night, one of those beer cans started rattling. And I'm like, oh, they're around me. They're around me. Oh my gosh. Oh, please, well, say something. And then it went quiet. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to set up something. So I set up a game camera, and instead of pictures, I had it rolling with video. And I hung it on, I had it watching this tree, the softwood tree, and I tied a whole bunch of pieces of raw chicken to this tree. Lo and behold, here's that sound again. That the beer can's rattling. And I'm like, I got you, because I got you distracted with the chicken. You came in, you slipped up, you got caught, and now I got you on video. I wait till morning, hoping something would happen. Wait till morning, go pop out my SD card, and this guy is what was harassing me almost nightly.
Oh, sorry. Here we go.
That bear.
You guys, it's in the right corner of the picture going up on the bend of the tree.
He was bending that tree to get to that chicken and going up and down, trying to figure out how to get to it. But he was coming in and hitting that fishing line every night. And that's what got me going. So I got tricked. I thought I had, and when I first threw that SD card in my reader and I saw that dark blob, I go, I got it's a bear. So, got tricked. And those are just the little things that I do when I'm out there that add up over time. One more little bit of info is that up where I live, we get heavy snow load. And I've got a couple, this will be a good depiction here. If you've got enough snow load on the upper canopies, they will bend the softwoods down, even some of the hardwoods over with enough pressure, and they will stay that way even after the snow melts. And it took me a while to realize that that's what was causing these tree bends.
Mm-hmm.
I always, in the beginning, I was thinking, what could be bending these trees in a certain way to create this umbrella shape? And again, this is all in the beginning. Being an outdoorsman, I never paid attention to that type of structure or those types of bends in the trees. I'm more focused looking for tracks on the ground, or paying attention to other things.
Right.
But once I started to get into this field, in the beginning, the umbrella, the snow globe bends sure started to be one of those, here, they're showing me something. They're showing me their power. They're able to do this or whatever. So this spring, I was trying to get up into one of my best spots, and there's a picture I think I sent you with my dog. So this is these branches are just softwood trees, and they're starting to spring back up from the weight of the snow melting. So by now, it would pretty much be a clear path back in there. But the snow load will keep those compressed to the ground, and until they're able to spring back up, it just kind of plays tricks on your mind. But again, once you're able to get that out of your head, you don't even pay attention to it anymore. It's irrelevant. It's just nature.
Yeah, I don't get to see that here. That doesn't exist here.
Well, I can tell you that this was the first week of May. So that much snow was still left. And this was about 4,500 feet in elevation. But at the height of winter, we're talking it's probably 10, 12, 15 feet deep of snow. So all that would be just compressed down. But I'm just trying to show a representation of how the softwoods will start to spring back up. But some of them do stay down, bent in a curved formation, like how that bear was hanging on that.
All right, that's pretty cool. That's good to see. You hear about it. You don't get to see stuff like this. That's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. And then one last pic I sent you, and this is just to end this on a I guess a funny note.
Okay.
When people send me these pictures, these type of pictures, and they're adamant. I mean, they are adamant that they found a nest or a home or something, and they send it to me asking me for my opinion. Well, if you ask me for my opinion, I'm going to give it to you straight. And I was sent this picture a couple weeks ago.
All right, so I have a picture that has one on top of the other, then I have a separate one. So is it this one or is it this one?
That one.
This one, okay.
So this gentleman was so adamant that this structure was a nest, or I forget what he called it, but
right by the bridge.
And I asked him, send me a pin where you located this. Now, right where he's standing on the edge of a paved road. So I have to give him my feedback saying, I'm sorry, that is a typical Boy Scout shelter you learn in the Boy Scout and the Cub Scouts, or somebody just, goofing around. Have no problem. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I've seen a lot of these too. The internet's filled with bushcraft videos on make a teepee. Now that's pretty elaborate and time consuming for a bushcrafter, but I've seen my mother has a picture of her on an Alaska cruise standing in front of one of these when she got off the boat. I don't know what it was for, but I have it of her standing right in the doorway to something this same size. So yeah, it's a lot more common than people think, actually.
I'm just stating that if you send me something and you ask me for my opinion, I'm going to ask you give me the backstory, try to send me a location of where it's at, and let me see, what I can come up with. But once I saw that he was standing on the paved road and this old bridge, I have to just say, I'm sorry, but that's not in my experience. I just have to say no.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, you heard my first thing was, you mean by the bridge? I mean, that's, yeah. We're not here to make fun, but yeah, you gotta call people out. You gotta ask those questions because, yeah.
And that goes back to what I mean by give me three chances at listening to your story. Let me see if I can pick it apart. But stuff like this, yeah, the internet's full of it. And if you have the time to send it to somebody just to get an opinion, and you get the opinion you don't want to hear, I'm not the villain. I'm just giving you my honest feedback.
I'd like to go ahead and echo that sentiment. Evidence, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. I can't help what it turns out to be. I know we all want to be the one to find it.
Oh yeah.
I totally get it. But it's not my fault if it turns out that it's not what you wanted it to be, right?
That's correct. Anyways, so in a nutshell, the two things that helped me the most next were people, families, giving me feedback, telling me their encounters, feeling comfortable enough to share their loved stories. And I mean, we're talking just beautiful stories. I have never had a person tell me any bad encounter yet. Zero. And I don't know if it's the area that I live in. Not one aggressive, hurtful, nothing. They've all been peaceful. That's the best way I can put it. I have no negative or scary stories to share.
Not even ones like trying to scare you out of the area or anything like that.
Well, the only time that happened was with myself and my family on my very first encounter.
Okay.
In 2013, when they harassed us all night. But that I don't even attribute to something that was scary. That was just get out of here. But
yeah, that depends on your perspective, right? And what you've been through in your lifetime.
Well, true. Yeah, I had no fear. I had no fear. But yeah, it might have affected somebody else where they might have, jumped in their rig and left and changed their drawers when they got home.
Right.
But for myself and calming my family down, hey, I just say, hey, we're good. We're good. But no hurtful, harmful, threatening, scary, damaging, nothing like that has ever been told to me or reported to me. Zero. And I just think it's the area I live in. I
Well,
can't
that's
explain.
great. I mean, are you? I know we were wrapping this up, but my next question is that you're bringing up. You keep saying in your area. Does that mean you've heard of a different kind of interactions in other areas?
Well, all you got to do is click on almost every other YouTube story. You're going to
Okay,
hear.
yeah. But I mean, people you have spoken to in your method, in your way.
Honestly, I
No.
don't recall any.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Any. Okay, there was one where somebody stated that their camper was being rocked at night, and you know,
Eh,
okay,
that doesn't sound so aggressive.
yeah,
I
but
mean, a bear can do that.
uh,
Just trying to
easily.
sniff and accidentally
uh,
rock something like that super easily.
Easily.
And you wouldn't attribute that to being aggressive to a bear. So
No. Mm-mm.
you can't attribute it to being aggressive to Bigfoot or Sasquatch if that's what they were
Correct.
doing.
It was
So
just there. It was just there telling me that this is what they assumed,
right.
but again, they didn't look out the window, and that's all I heard from them. But it's just something that I find.
Well, that's an interesting pattern. It really
Yes,
is.
yes. That is something that I want to highlight, is that I don't know if it's just this area, but it's almost as if they're friendly in a manner.
Uh-huh.
And
Friendly, elusive, and want to be alone. Not
yeah,
gonna get harsh and negative with you. They just put big trees down and say, "Don't,
I would
don't."
like to leave it on this note. I love when I can turn people onto belief. The
Uh-huh.
doubters, the ones that say I'm wacko or we're crazy, or uh, disbelievers, whatever label you want to put on them. But the joy that I get out of hearing somebody finally admit, okay, I believe now. I got one of those last night, and it made my day.
Ha!
Just so ironic.
Yeah,
And
I could see your face. It's
oh,
changed. You got this gigantic, like that grin on your face.
this guy, this guy was this guy, this guy was such a non-believer. I mean, absolutely no. And anywho, he ended up calling a friend of mine, his sister, stating, "Okay, I'm a believer now. I'm a believer now." So he he lives out in an area on that map where it starts to get a little bit more clustered,
Uh-huh.
more condensed, and he's building a home, but he's living in a treehouse type environment until he just kind of living up off the ground. And the night before, something came in and harassed him, broke a very large log. I mean, he could hear the audible crack, and this is an experienced woodsman. And then he had a squirrel thrown at him, and that turned him. So he called up my friends, his sister, an absolutely 100%, 180-degree turn. And when I got to hear that tale and that story, it
All
just,
right. That is the first time I've ever heard of. Okay. Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead. I'm sorry. I'm still. I got this mental image, right, and it's hilarious. I just.
It's probably the same one I got in my head. It's just the fact that, thank you, one more to tilt the scale in our favor. Just one more. 49-51. We got it. So,
All
anyway,
right, man. Well, Man, I'm loving this. I'm loving the progression of this and loving the way this is moving along. I you know, you seem to be getting you and I both seem to be getting more and more comments on it. So that's good. We're in the right direction. We're going the right
Mhm.
direction. Um, yeah, I've been taking notes on my phone along the way of things that, when you say you'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely talking about it later because I got a running list over here. So if you get to the end of this progression that you're doing and you say you're done and you haven't covered my stuff on my list, we're going to that next. All right.
Well,
Well, yours is a little bit more involved than mine.
oh, this is just for today, but I didn't get to.
Okay. Okay. I was like, Jesus.
And,
All right. You're my
well,
sole guest for the rest of the year.
well, okay, well, we'll see. But I appreciate it. I hope everybody else out there listening learns just one more little piece to add to if you do this. Listen to your neighbors, listen to the people who tell you what they have to offer. And I always end this on the same note, man. Be safe. Be safe. Don't be a 411. Don't hurt yourself and end up being in a position where you could have prevented that. Just be safe, but have fun.
Thank you so much, Jason.
You bet. Thank you, David.
All right, everybody, if you made it to the end, thank you so much. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe because you're going to need those notifications to know that this guy's putting out more videos. So, you guys have a great night. Thank you.
Have fun.